Our journey begins with a series of strange and unexplainable phenomena occurring around the world. A giant abalone appears, so massive that even more than 10 people working together could not handle it. An ancient tree begins growing at an alarming rate, its roots spreading for miles. Deep cracks form in the ground, causing subway collapses and resulting in casualties. Yet, despite these alarming events, many people dismiss them as exaggerated news headlines created just to grab attention. Now, the scene shifts to a large crowd gathered in a school courtyard. Everyone seems far more interested in the drama unfolding before them than in the recent global events. At the center of attention is one of the school's most admired girls, rumored to be breaking up with her boyfriend. The main couple stands in the middle, surrounded by curious onlookers who whisper among themselves. Some say their relationship was fragile from the start, while others gossip that the school beauty was only being charitable by dating him, since he couldn't get into a decent college while she had secured a place at a top university. Amid this chatter, someone mentions the name of our main protagonist, Fong Yi. The focus shifts to the center of the crowd as the school beauty calls out to Fong Yi, catching his attention. Maintaining an air of elegance, she begins to speak. She tells him that, after thinking things over, she has realized their relationship isn't realistic. Even in youthful school romances, she says, people eventually wake up to reality and see when two people aren't right for each other. Without compatibility, a relationship cannot last in the long run. Having said her piece, she firmly tells him they should break up. In her mind, she feels she has handled the situation perfectly, playing her cards in such a way that he would have no chance to turn things in his favor, no matter what he tried. The crowd watches closely. Fong Yi remains calm and expressionless, showing no signs of distress. Some students smirk, thinking he must be in shock, unable to respond. The school beauty basks in what she believes is her victory. But to everyone's surprise, Fong Yi simply says, "All right." The brief response leaves the crowd stunned, and the school beauty equally unsettled. Without further words, Fong Yi starts to walk away. The girl, who had been so sure she had won, suddenly feels uncomfortable. As Fong Yi clears his ears and turns to leave, he casually says there is nothing more to discuss. Breaking her composed demeanor, she calls out to him, wondering if his reaction is genuine or just an act. Fong Yi turns his head and, with a confident aura, asks if there is anything else she needs to say. Trying to maintain her pride, the school beauty responds that no matter what scheme he might be thinking of, she will not get back together with him. Fong Yi holds a straight face for a moment before replying bluntly that she is flattering herself. He's busy. His directness shocks her and leaves the crowd murmuring in disbelief. As he walks away, Fong Yi thinks to himself that Chu Qingli, the school beauty, and everyone else around them have no idea what is truly about to happen. He knows that the importance of money, education, and the current social order will soon be meaningless, as the world is on the verge of a complete upheaval. No one knows his secret. Fong Yi has returned to this timeline from a future where the world lies in ruins. To him now, Chu Qingli is nothing more than a stranger. He has no interest in school reputations or petty drama. Far greater concerns await him as a true disaster approaches. He recalls that it all began the previous night when, without warning, memories of an unavoidable future came flooding back to him. Along with those memories appeared a countdown, 1 year until the aura recovery activation. Once that day arrives, the world will undergo a transformation unlike anything seen before. The rules of society will no longer be based on wealth or status, but on strength and power. It will mark the beginning of a new age, the age of cultivators. In that vision, standing before a sphere of light, Fong Yi asked who, or what, it was. Instead of a direct answer, a message appeared. It explained that the system exists for the end of the universe and is designed to generate cultivation techniques based on any material the host touches. As Fong Yi reaches for the glowing screen before him, his hand passes straight through it. In that instant, a monstrous figure emerges, its gaping mouth drawing closer. But before it can touch him, the image freezes. He realizes he is witnessing the moment from his past life when this very creature take him down. That fate was not his alone. Billions on the planet known as Blue Star had suffered the same end. Watching the scene, memories of his first life come flooding back. Back then, He was just an ordinary man, powerless against the tide of chaos sweeping the world. He struggled desperately to survive, hoping to outlast the destruction. But he still remembers the collapse of his nation, the suffering of its people, and how, in the end, he perished, overcome with despair, rage, and a burning desire for revenge. Now, with the clarity of hindsight, Fong Yi believes the system chose him for a reason, to prevent this catastrophe before it arrives in a year's time. At present, the people of the world remain unaware of the transformations beginning to stir across the globe. Fong Yi vows to use every anomaly to his advantage. The system confirms him as its host, unlocking a new path. It informs him that everything in existence can serve as material for cultivation. His mission, to collect powerful techniques, grow stronger, and become a cultivator capable of saving the world. Back in the present day, life in the bustling city continues as usual. Yet Fong Yi observes how the government neither confirms nor denies reports of strange events. He recognizes this as their subtle way of preparing citizens, avoiding panic while ensuring awareness. In the Xian nation, such measured policies help maintain stability, unlike other countries where sudden announcements might incite chaos. Fong Yi checks his phone. If he wants to grow stronger, he must head wherever anomalies occur. Scanning the news, he notices an unusual report from the city's top university, a sudden spike in UV index, and an official heat warning. Some online commenters mock the warning, saying it's exaggerated. Fong Yi frowns. The university is only 15 minutes away, yet its temperature is drastically higher than surrounding areas. He recalls how, in his past life, many people dismissed early anomalies as pranks until it was too late. This time, he knows better. This is his first real opportunity. Soon, Fong Yi stands at the north gate of Qingqing University. The heat here is oppressive, far beyond normal summer weather. Students hurry away from the affected zone, fanning themselves and shielding their faces from the scorching air. Then Fong Yi notices something unusual, tiny glowing particles drifting in the air, resembling fireflies. Intrigued, he crouches and reaches out to touch one of the fiery orbs. At his touch, the orb trembles, its glow intensifying. The system's interface flashes before his eyes. Young attribute detected. Unlocking attribute template. A sudden burst of light engulfs Fong Yi, fusing with his body. Pain lances through him. The radiance grows so bright that bystanders begin speculating. Some joke that he looks like a superpowered anime hero, while others whisper that he must be some kind of chosen one. Meanwhile, Fong Yi grits his teeth, wondering if the process is nearly finished or if it will end with his death. Then, with a final pulse of energy, a notification appears before him. Completion achieved. Golden Sun breathing technique acquired. With his first power now in hand, Fong Yi knows his journey as a cultivator has officially begun, and so has his fight to change the future. We go back in time, to just before the heat warning at Qingqing University. New students are registering for classes, the campus filled with excitement and chatter. Among them is the well-known school beauty, Chu Qingli. While waiting in line, several people try to strike up conversations with her, but she politely rejects them all. As she walks across the campus, she passes a cheerful pair of freshmen celebrating their acceptance into the same university. Just moments later, a sudden beam of light descends from the sky, landing a short distance behind her. Almost immediately, the university issues an emergency notice. This is the same heat wave alert that our protagonist, Fong Yi, has been following. Hearing the announcement, Chu Qingli pauses. She can't help but think about the recent string of rare phenomena happening across the world. Perhaps this is worth investigating. Meanwhile, at the North Gate, Fong Yi is still enveloped in the mysterious light. When the glow finally fades, the system in his mind informs him of the technique he has just acquired. The Golden Sun breathing technique will activate body refinement when he inhales and exhales while gazing into the blazing sun. Along with it, he has gained 50 compilation points and officially unlocked the technique. He wonders about the purpose of these points. Rather than overthink, he decides they must be useful and that he will figure out their purpose in time. Fong Yi begins to inhale deeply, and as he does, the surrounding temperature drops. Students approaching the North Gate notice the heat's intensity lessening. As the group, including Chu Qingli, draws closer, the president of the university arrives. He is accompanied by several military personnel and a mysterious cloaked figure. The president raises his voice, demanding to know why students are still outside despite the warning. He orders everyone to check in at the reception immediately or risk having their credits deducted. The cloaked figure then instructs the guards to secure the area and close the gate. Just then, Fong Yi receives a system notification. He has purified a polluted zone, classified as Grade A level. The system explains that polluted zones are abnormal sites officially designated by the Xi'an nation government, capable of generating aura recovery energy. Before he can process this information fully, the military personnel begin ordering everyone to evacuate the area. Realizing that the military's involvement could bring him unwanted attention, Fong Yi decides to slip away quickly. The cloaked figure inspects the site and notes that the field appears to be artificially created. This suggests someone may have come into contact with the aura directly. Listening nearby, Chu Qingli wonders how something so dangerous could be man-made. She also briefly considers whether the person who ran off could have been Fong Yi, but dismisses the thought. Why would he be here? Later, back at Fong Yi's home, he lies on his bed, his body faintly glowing. A cold pad rests on his forehead, but the heat within him refuses to dissipate. Baths and air conditioning have no effect. He worries that he might not be able to sleep at this rate. The events of the day replay in his mind. Did anyone notice him? The commotion was certainly large enough. He picks up his smartphone and checks the trending topics. One headline catches his attention: Aura Cultivation Association. In his previous life, he had never paid this much attention to such things. At the time, most people considered it a joke. But now, remembering the cloaked figure, he wonders if they were affiliated with this association. Clicking through the link, he finds an official page detailing the different cultivation realms. First realm, Ghost Axe, crafting mortal weapons with divine skill. Second realm, Spiritual Creation, developing internal spiritual aura. Third realm, Mastery Stage, Diamond Realm internal channels become fully formed and refined. Fourth realm, Moon Level, a godlike stage, transcending normal humanity. Fifth realm, Rising Sun, command over life and death. Ultimate realm, achieved by transcending life and death itself, granting awareness of the cosmos and beyond. The page also emphasizes that aura recovery is an unstoppable trend, and that these realms are designed to guide cultivators along the proper path. Fong Yi suspects that the government may have prepared this information to reach powerful individuals early. In his past life, he never had the chance to explore such matters. He was too busy simply trying to survive. Determined not to waste this opportunity, he decides to test his new technique. Sitting cross-legged, he focuses on refining his body so it can contain the aura's energy. As he breathes, the aura gathers around him. Concentrating, he shapes the energy into the form of an axe. A system notification appears. You have ascended to the Doshui realm. His compilation points increase once again. Curious, he experiments further and realizes he can merge aura energy into physical objects. Spotting a mug nearby, he tests the process. The system prompts him. Do you wish to imbue this object with yang attribute energy? He understands instantly. If he chooses yes, he could transform any object into a weapon infused with elemental energy. Whether it's a knife, a sword, or even a firearm, it would gain unique combat capabilities. Moreover, the system doesn't limit him to a single attribute. A plan begins to form in his mind. He will create a signature weapon for himself, something versatile and powerful enough to face the threats to come. With that goal, he starts experimenting on different objects, carefully controlling the aura infusion process. The night passes with his room glowing faintly as he practices. Outside, however, something stirs. A strange, rabbit-like monster, drawn by the energy, creeps closer to his home, its eyes glinting in the dark. Fong Yi, who was sleeping, suddenly heard a noise. Sitting up, he tried to pinpoint the source. From the sound, he deduced that it wasn't coming from inside the house or through the pipes. He recalled that ever since his awakening, his hearing and other senses had sharpened drastically. He could now hear things far beyond the range of normal human perception. That meant the sound could be coming from much farther away than he thought. Still, something felt off. He turned his gaze toward the door. Opening it cautiously, he peeked into the hallway and froze. There, in plain sight, monster from earlier. Its size alone told him it had been affected by an anomaly. Fong Yi had seen much worse in his previous life, yet every encounter with such creatures still sent a chill down his spine. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, an investigation team was in motion. The team leader, a young woman, was reporting to headquarters. The rabbit that devoured the night spirit fruit has escaped. Its speed is too fast for standard pursuit. She sighed, telling HQ to keep her updated, before leaping off the rooftop she stood on. As she descended, she detected the creature's aura and immediately reported back. The beast is heading into a densely populated area. If we're late, it could cause mass casualties. Pursue immediately. The mutation isn't complete yet, but it's growing rapidly. She began moving from building to building at incredible speed. A few pedestrians caught glimpses of something darting above, but none could tell what it was. Back at Fong Yi's location, on the 65th floor of his building, the mutated beast had already invaded his area. Activating his Yang attribute, Fong Yi slowed the world in his perception, making the creature's movements easier to track. He dodged its first attack effortlessly. Still, the sight of the beast appearing earlier than expected surprised him. He could tell it wasn't fully evolved yet, but its presence here meant immediate danger. If left unchecked, everyone in the building could die. Determined to end the threat, Fong Yi charged forward, grabbed the monster by its tail, and with a powerful swing, hurled it out of the building. He leapt after it, ready to finish the fight. Mid-air, he gathered his power into his fist and struck the creature in the gut with a devastating blow. The monster tried to absorb his energy in desperation, but Fong Yi knew it was sealing its own fate. His sun attribute energy was far too intense. Moments later, the rabbit was taken down, unable to contain the force. Some neighbors, noticing the sudden flash of light, wondered if there had been lightning outside. But when they looked out their windows, there was nothing left to see. Landing, Fong Yi observed the remains. It had acted like a starving ghost, so desperate that it had even tried to devour its own counter-element. The system identified the creature as a night attribute monster. Its hunger had driven it to attempt consuming the pure yang energy he wielded. Fong Yi realized that if he hadn't possessed his current power, the outcome would have been very different. Everyone in the building might have been taken down by this monster. This only strengthened his resolve to obtain more techniques and grow stronger. Not long after, the young woman from earlier arrived at the scene. The monster was already dead. Reporting back to HQ, she began collecting the night attribute residue from its remains. But when she touched some lingering traces of Fong Yi's attack, the pure light attribute energy burned her hand slightly. She froze, recognizing the energy. It was the same as what she had encountered at the north gate of Qingqing University. This couldn't be a coincidence. She reported to HQ, explaining that someone with a pure yang element, someone who had only recently awakened, was responsible for killing the beast. Her superiors immediately questioned her. Are you saying the same person is connected to both incidents? And that this level of power matches the Northgate readings? She confirmed it, though she admitted there was no record of such a person in their database. With this level of talent, HQ decided that the individual must be recruited as soon as possible. They issued her new orders. Find the owner of that power and bring them into the association immediately. The girl agreed without hesitation. Understood. She decided she would begin her search after a quick stop for a cup of milk. As she walked away, she wondered who this mysterious person could be. At this level of strength, they were already comparable to a master-level cultivator. She planned to find them as quickly as possible before someone else did. The scene shifts to the next morning. Sunlight pours through the window, shining warmly on Fong Yi. Now attuned to the powers of the sun, he begins his day early, standing beneath the dazzling rays. Just feeling the morning sun is enough to strengthen his physique, but as he activates the golden sun breathing technique, the effect multiplies. During meditation, he senses the energy within him becoming more adaptable. The axe of light he had previously formed now manifests even faster, and this leads to another breakthrough. The axe feels lighter in his hands, easier to wield. Fong Yi likens cultivation to chopping wood. It's a simple act, but the key is persistence. With each swing of his axe, he improves, until finally, he reaches the 2-star level. The breakthrough enhances his system's functions, and he feels lighter than before. Determined to grow steadily, he plans to advance step by step. However, his technique's radiant light could easily draw unwanted attention if practiced in populated areas. Deciding it's safer to train somewhere remote, he grabs his gear, along with a package, and heads out. At the association's headquarters, a well-dressed man notices a fluctuation in solar energy. Narrowing his eyes, he thinks, it's that same person again. Meanwhile, Fong Yi arrives at a mountain location. He unsheaths a sword and begins channeling his yang attribute into it. He recalls how, in the past, other objects failed to contain this intense energy. But this time, the power flows smoothly into the blade, and the system confirms, binding of yang element successful. Testing the weapon's strength, Fong Yi swings it. The resulting slash is far more destructive than he expected, tearing into the landscape and threatening to start a wildfire. Smoke rises in the distance, and realizing he may have attracted attention, he quickly leaves. Not long after, the same young woman from the night before arrives at the scene. "I just went to buy milk tea, and I already missed something big," she mutters, shaking her head. Her luck, she thinks, has been terrible lately. Seeing how a patch of water nearby has turned into a hot spring, she searches for the Buddha statue that once stood here, only to find it gone. She sighs. "I'm definitely going to get scolded for this. Ever since he appeared, my life has been a mess." As she surveys the area, she detects lingering traces of energy, and her eyes widen. In just one day, the same individual has advanced from 1 star to 2 stars. Such rapid growth is rare, bordering on impossible. More than that, there are traces of a spirit weapon. Spirit weapons are extraordinary tools imbued with elemental energy, making them far superior to ordinary arms. Currently, the association possesses only 2. The technology behind them isn't public knowledge, which leaves her wondering, how could there be traces here? After a moment of thought, she considers the possibility that she might have made a mistake in her initial assessment. Taking a sip of her drink, she resolves to start cleaning up the aftermath of the incident, including restoring the overheated water to normal. Elsewhere in the forest, Fong Yi walks while thinking about his abilities. The yang attribute is powerful, but nowhere has it been stated that he can only possess one element. If he can merge different elemental powers into a single weapon, his potential will increase exponentially. As he ponders this, he checks his smartphone. A chat group is discussing new recruits, but what catches his attention is news of a newly discovered polluted zone. Intrigued, he asks for details. Someone sends him a file containing the zone's coordinates. The most interesting detail? The zone is of the lava type, closely aligned with his current attribute. Without hesitation, Fong Yi registers to join the expedition. Before long, he's on his way to the rendezvous point, where the other members are waiting. Among them is an agent tasked with finding individuals worthy of recommendation to the association. Zhang Xiaoya, another participant, seems unimpressed with the arrangement. She knows that joining the association is no simple feat. Most people don't even know such opportunities exist. She managed to gain entry to this mission due to certain connections, but she needs tangible results to secure her place. When Fong Yi boards the ferry to the zone, Xiaoya immediately notices the warmth of his energy. Something about him feels different. The team eventually arrives at the entrance of the cave. Fong Yi takes the lead, asking Xiaoya to handle the lighting. As they proceed inside, they discuss how the temperature isn't as high as expected for a lava zone. Fong Yi also notes how quickly the group has accepted his presence. After a short trek, they reach the core of the pollution. A pool of molten lava glows in the center, and everyone stops in awe. But before anyone can react further, Fong Yi strides forward and plunges his hands into the lava. Gasps echo through the chamber. The team watches in disbelief, fearing for his safety. Then, without warning, the lava begins to surge. On Fong Yi's side, the system activates instantly, anomaly detected. Initiating analysis, commencing elemental coding. During the coding process, the system explains the explosive potential of an element known as the inner flame. Fong Yi's sword also becomes infused with this power, granting it explosive-type buffs. Noticing how well the new skill matches his existing techniques, Fong decides to spend points to permanently infuse his sword with the inner flame attribute. The process begins, and flames engulf the blade. The others in the group tense at the sight, but seeing that Fong is unharmed, they relax, assuming it was just a harmless display. With the zone's energy now stabilized, the rest of the team resumes their own training, absorbing as much energy as they can. Happy with the situation, they invite Zhang Xiaoya to join them, but she politely declines, saying she'll just observe for now. While she watches, she notices movement in the distance. A group of 3 arrogant mercenaries heading their way. Their body language radiates hostility. As they arrive, the mercenaries immediately start looking down on everyone, ordering them to leave the area. Xiaoya's expression hardens. She knows that if these men start a fight, the current team wouldn't stand a chance, even if they all fought together. Not wanting to escalate things, she steps forward and tries diplomacy. She explains that her group arrived here first and has already claimed the site. The team is already in the process of absorbing energy, but she offers them a compromise. They're welcome to join if they wish. The leader of the mercenaries sneers, threatening her. He says they shouldn't think they're special just because they've unlocked the Ghost Axe realm, and again orders them to leave. Xiaoya reflects bitterly that in this new era, those with power often suppress others to prevent them from growing stronger. Still, in the Xia nation, such behavior isn't tolerated, and as someone with responsibility, she knows she should act. Before she can make a move, Fong Yi steps forward. "Is this all you can do? Threaten a girl?" he says coldly. The mercenaries turn toward him, their eyes narrowing. Fong draws his sword, the blade wrapped in roaring flames, strikes it into the ground. Fong already knows the truth of this new era. The strong will destroy and bully the weak, not because they have to, but because their mindset demands it. Words alone won't change them. Only a display of overwhelming power works. The mercenary leader's bravado falters. Fong pulls his sword free, triggering a fiery explosion that rocks the area. "Leave," he warns, his voice carrying dangerous certainty. A second explosion follows, rougher than the first, shaking the mercenaries to their core. Terrified by his display, they decide they want no part of this fight and quickly retreat. The others thank Fong for saving them. Fong, feigning innocence, brushes it off and simply says they should pack up and move out. After the training session ends, everyone departs. Xiaoya, however, knows that if Fong had truly wanted to hit the mercenaries, they would have gotten seriously injured. His control and mastery of his power are undeniable. She begins to suspect he might be a high-tier master with a rare, high-level attribute, and decides to report this immediately. At the association, the secretary answers Xiaoya's call and hears her report about the appearance of a high-tier attribute pioneer. Without thinking, the secretary mutters, "Another one?" Realizing her slip, she straightens up as her superior steps up behind her. Under pressure, she ends the call quickly, saying the report has been recorded in the database. Afterward, the secretary tells her mentor they're fortunate to have 2 high-tier individuals appear so close together. But the mentor, experienced in the ways of the world, shakes his head. It's not luck, it's trouble. Strong people like that become the center of power struggles. This will only get harder to manage. He even jokes about quitting his job. The next day, Fong Yi decides to go out in disguise, changing his clothes to avoid attention. However, his disguise ends up being so elaborate that he attracts more stares than before. People assume he's cosplaying and compliment how cool his sword looks. Walking on, Fong checks his smartphone. He'd expected some attention after yesterday's display, but surprisingly, there's nothing notable online. Still, the energy he has accumulated feels enough to trigger another breakthrough. Deciding to continue his training, he heads for the mountains. At the mountain site, a woman is busy restoring the environment from a previous incident. The garden restoration expert, Su Qingying. She has almost finished her work when a sudden, massive ball of light erupts in the distance. The sheer force of it makes her pause. From the energy signature, she estimates someone is about to reach 3 stars within the Ghost Axe realm. But the power output is so intense that she wonders if it's even possible for someone at that stage to create such an effect. Determined to find out, she leaps toward the source of the light, intent on discovering who could wield such power. At the mountain site, Fong Yi sat cross-legged, meditating as he focused his energy for the next breakthrough. He pushed his output to the maximum, shaping his power into the form of an axe. High above him, the divine axe began to take shape in the air, radiating dazzling brilliance. At the same time, Su Qingying was running toward him. Her eyes widened when she saw the immense weapon forming. She was astonished that he could handle such a large amount of power so effortlessly. Is he some hidden master who has spent a century in seclusion? She wondered. Her thoughts went back to her own attempt at this level of ascension. She had failed, and the backlash was brutal. She'd been hospitalized for weeks. Even with her peak fitness, the experience was something she never wanted to remember. If she couldn't do it with her athletic background, she thought, then what kind of monster could endure this? His movements were steady, precise, like someone who had practiced thousands of times. Su found it hard to believe any human could do this unless they were a god descended into the mortal realm. She also knew that most cultivators rushed through this process the moment they believed they had reached the required level, only to fail. The person before her, however, was different. He only attempted it because he was truly prepared, like the masters of ancient times. As she closed in, the divine axe began to descend toward the eastern side of the mountain. With that, Fang Yi's breakthrough concluded. But when Su finally reached the spot, he was gone, again. She had covered the distance in 30 seconds, but it still wasn't enough. She knew now that her target was fully aware she had been tailing him. At this rate, she feared she might never recruit him. Just as she was about to give up, she felt a presence. Calling out respectfully, she addressed him, certain he hadn't left willingly. From a short distance away, Fang Yi stepped into view. It was clear from his expression that he knew she'd been following him for days. Su explained that she was with the association, stating her rank and emphasizing that she was like him. She extended an invitation to join, clarifying that her only purpose in following him was recruitment. She carefully kept her tone soft, avoiding anything that might sound pushy or disrespectful. Finally, Fang Yi asked a single question, why? Su hesitated for a moment before deciding the truth was her only option. Lies would never work on someone like him. She told him that the Xia nation was gathering powerful pioneers to form an organization capable of maintaining order. The current trend, she admitted, was too chaotic and uncontrolled. While the association might seem like a restraint, when chaos descended on the nation, they would all have to fight together to protect it. Fang Yi responded bluntly. What if I say I don't trust you? Without missing a beat, Su pulled out her identification card. She introduced herself and spoke of her past as a professional athlete before becoming a cultivator. As a sign of trust, she placed her ID in front of him. Fang studied it and vaguely remembered her from her days of fame. He also knew that people with superior physiques often grew stronger more easily than others. That explained her remarkable speed. But he also knew a grim future, one where the nation had failed to stop its own destruction, leading to humanity's extinction. Even with the system's help, he was far from strong enough to change that fate yet. I remember you, Fang said, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared behind her. I'll think about it. For now, you must keep my location secret. From her behavior, he concluded that the association lacked the power to confront beings like him. That meant he could use them to his advantage for the time being. Su agreed to his condition, but added that the association had already noticed the visible changes after his breakthrough. She was required to make a report, but promised it would be 50-50, half truth, half misdirection. Fang agreed, and before she could say more, he vanished from the site. Soon after, she received a call from the association. They pressed her on why she still hadn't secured him and accused her of letting him avoid her. She considered the cleanup operation that had just appeared, but was told to leave it and instead prepare for a mission involving anomaly entities. Her expression darkened. She had sworn never to forgive these creatures. They came in many forms, but all were monsters at their core. Some fed on energy from spirit zones, while others turned rogue. They were often the cause of new polluted zones. If left unchecked, they could plunge the world into chaos. Meanwhile, in another part of the region, the government issued a red alert, closing tourist areas due to the risk of flooding. Locals and visitors alike wondered what kind of storm could be this intense. Fang Yi walked calmly through the downpour, admiring the storm's ferocity. But his goal lay at its heart, and he kept moving toward it. Leaving the city behind, he approached the base of a towering mountain. The system's voice echoed in his mind. Polluted zone detected, Mountain Yuan. Data flashed before his eyes, showing the mountain's height, terrain, and hazards. The most unusual detail was that the pollution level here was unknown, something even the system rarely encountered. With steady steps, heading straight for the heart of the pollution. At the association headquarters, the atmosphere was tense. The senior members had gathered to discuss the situation at the newly discovered polluted zone in the mountains, and the conclusion was clear: the area had to be sealed off. The head of the meeting emphasized the severity of the threat. "This isn't just another incident," he said. "We've already recalled pioneers from their current missions to focus on this. That should tell you how serious this is." Turning to one side of the table, he added, "Su, take over." Su Qingying stood, her expression firm. The mountain region has become completely inaccessible. Thunder-type spiritual energy is surging through the area. For now, it has been classified as an A-rank polluted zone, but if nothing is done, it will escalate to S-rank within hours. She paused, letting her words sink in. At the current intensity, even a 3-star cultivator wouldn't survive there. Not even me. A ripple of unease spread through the room. The idea that high-level cultivators couldn't survive made several members visibly pale. To minimize risk, some suggested sealing off the region entirely. The proposal passed without resistance. No one could approach it for now, so all they could do was wait for the spiritual energy to drop to manageable levels. Far away, in the mountains where lightning raged endlessly, Fong Yi moved steadily forward. He was thankful for the golden sun breathing technique, but he knew it wasn't enough to extract pure thunder energy, not unless he reached the very heart of the zone, the Yuwang Peak summit. As he walked, his mind replayed what he knew about spiritual energy. It was not a gift, but a dangerous, unpredictable force. If left unchecked, it could completely disrupt the natural order, reversing the food chain until humans were prey. Passive animals could transform into vicious predators. The weather changes it caused could devastate entire regions. The real danger was time. The longer spiritual energy was left to fester, the stronger the resulting threats would become, until even cultivators were powerless to resist. At present, Fong Yi had mastery over the golden sun breathing technique and wielded the red fire blade, infused with the yang element and the internal flame subelement. Together, they gave him strong offensive capabilities. But against what was coming, they were not enough. He had already enhanced his sword with his remaining points, boosting its durability with yang energy and its destructive power with flame. Yet this created another problem. Heavy reliance on a weapon made him vulnerable. Without it, he would lose much of his fighting ability. The only true solution was to strengthen his own body, to make himself formidable even without a weapon. The thunder force on this mountain was the perfect opportunity. If he could endure and harness it, he could take a huge step toward that goal. If he failed, he would die as he had in his previous life, in despair and rage. He pressed on, trying to tame the thunder, but the resistance was overwhelming. Bolts of lightning struck around him, the force making his body tremble. A sudden strike hit him directly. Thunder was a symbol of divine punishment. By entering its domain uninvited, he had provoked it. The storm seemed determined to make him kneel. "How do I tame something like this?" he muttered. The system's guidance came to mind. Come into direct contact with the spiritual energy. He gritted his teeth and continued forward, activating the golden sun breathing technique. A massive bolt of lightning crashed toward him, and he braced himself, countering the force as best he could. Each step grew heavier, the air itself resisting him, making it harder to breathe. The storm wanted him dead. Still, he pushed forward until he reached the point he had been aiming for. Here, the compilation process for the thunder attribute began. From miles away, people looked up at the sky and gasped. A colossal bolt of lightning tore through the clouds. Some whispered that it looked like a divine trial. Others feared for their homes and safety. At the core of it all, Fong Yi stood, his body surrounded by arcs of light. The system processed the thunder attribute, merging it into him. The thunder attribute was unique, an offense-type element that transformed the user's very body. One became lightning itself, embodying both offense and defense. Thunder was both shield and spear. It wasn't just destruction, it was refinement and rebirth. The pure energy coursed through Fong Yi, fortifying his body without the pain he had felt from other elements. A notification flashed in his mind. Execution damage against evil entities increased by 300%. When the thunder was fully tamed, Fong Yi considered merging it into his blade. But the weapon already held a dominant yang element and a sub-element of flame. Introducing lightning might upset the balance, reducing efficiency and even risking the blade's destruction. He decided instead to address his primary weakness, his dependency on weapons. Channeling the thunder into his own body, he focused on his right arm. Slowly, the transformation completed. He flexed his fingers, feeling the surge of power. Success! His right arm was now enhanced with lightning itself, an unbreakable weapon even without the blade. The next day, at the mountain peak, the association arrived to reassess the situation. To their surprise, what had been a dangerous peak-level polluted zone had dropped to a mild zone in just 3 hours. An army major surveyed the area carefully. "Someone was here," he said. "Maybe a pioneer like us." Sue's eyes widened. "And they're alive after all this?" She tried to find more clues, but the heavy rain had washed away any traces that could have been useful. The major then explained his reasoning. "The zone formed at 6 p.m. yesterday. The association officially closed it off an hour later. That means whoever this person was, they must have entered before the area was sealed. If not, there would have been a report of someone trying to sneak in." He continued, "The lightning reached its peak around 7 p.m. Based on the readings, the zone should have escalated to S rank by midnight. But something changed. After 8 p.m., the spiritual density began to drop rapidly. I believe whoever was here has the thunder attribute. That's the only explanation for how they could survive something this extreme and even turn it into an opportunity." The major's tone grew more serious. "If my theory is correct, the suspect is not only alive, but is also the reason the polluted zone was stabilized. If that's not the case, then the timing is far too perfect to be a coincidence. Either they were lucky beyond reason, or they have a way of responding to these situations faster than our association can." He looked at the team. "This person disappeared from the scene without a trace. If they're not aligned with us, they could be a potential threat to society. We need to find them, someone capable of matching the anomaly itself." Meanwhile, somewhere far away, Fong Yi sneezed in his room, as if someone were talking about him. The major turned back to the group. "From this moment on, our top priority is to identify the one responsible. At all costs. From today, their code name will be Tyrant, the one who conquered the Thunder Attribute Zone." The association was now focused on one priority, finding the individual code-named Tyrant and recruiting them before anyone else could. In the conference room, the chairman turned to the major. "We'll control the flow of information and quietly handle the situation in the mountain region," the chairman said. "The area is already sealed off, and we have a pathfinder tracking the suspect. Now, Sue, report on the individual you've been following." Sue, trying to keep her composure, nodded. She had promised Fong Yi she would protect his identity, so she carefully blended truth with partial truths. She began with the incident at the North Gate, explaining the circumstances and her observations. Inwardly, she was tense. If she let anything slip, she knew she'd be in trouble. "I've been tracking him," she said, "but his whereabouts are inconsistent. They change constantly." She then mentioned the mutated rabbit remains and how strong traces of yang element energy had been present at the site. "I'm still attempting to make contact so I can confirm whether he was involved in purifying the North Gate zone." The major's interest sharpened when she mentioned the yang element. He nodded approvingly. "Good work. We need more people like you in the field." Relieved, Sue ended her report. As the major casually discussed other matters with the chairman, she exhaled quietly. Her part in the meeting was over, for now. Meanwhile, at Fong Yi's home, he was using the golden sun breathing technique, not for training, but on his coat. The energy worked like magic, cleaning it until it looked brand new. He slipped it on, noticing how much better it felt. His right arm, infused with the lightning attribute, was now the strongest part of his body. He could feel its power, restrained yet ready to erupt. The once violent thunder energy now felt tame, almost docile, like a kitten. He thought back to when he first obtained the yang element. The pain back then had been unbearable, far worse than anything he'd endured before. Do the elements become gentler once absorbed? He wondered. The thunder attribute's effect, tripling damage against evil entities, made him eager to test it. A notification popped up on his phone. Fong had set all alerts and news updates to top priority in this rapidly changing world. While many saw the Xi'an nation's safety alerts as warnings to stay indoors, to him, they were opportunities. Each anomaly was a chance to grow stronger, no matter the risk. The headline was about an explosion at a chemical plant during a shift change. Miraculously, there were no injuries or casualties. The official statement urged the public to remain calm. But Fong wasn't convinced. He scanned online comments, noting that several people claimed to have felt a strange, cold aura near the site. His expression darkened. I felt something like this before. Memories from his past life surfaced. A terrifying creature that taken down humans in the dark. It had almost caught him once. These creatures thrived in darkness, often originating from mutated plants or animals. Once transformed, they became relentless predators with enhanced tracking abilities. They were far more dangerous than the mutated rabbit he had killed days ago. If left unchecked, they would evolve into beings that no one could control. Fong decided he would take the fight to them himself. It was time to test his new 300% execution power. Night fell. Rain poured onto empty streets, the sound echoing in the silence. Somewhere in the darkness, a team of cloaked figures moved through the city, tracking a dangerous beast. Their target was codenamed Candle Knight. They had lost sight of it, but they knew its abilities. Merging into darkness, concealing its form, the creature emitted a faint sizzling sound before attacking. Conditions tonight were perfect for it to hunt, and the team's mission was clear: stop it. HQ updated their target priority, warning them to maintain safety first. The association's broader forces were stretched thin due to multiple anomalies occurring simultaneously, so a full response would take 12 hours. Because the hunt was now in her jurisdiction, the decision was made to dispatch Sue to join the team. The squad leader welcomed the idea. Her achievements speak for themselves. The sooner she's here, the better. Sue's voice came through the comms, laced with sarcasm. When did I become this famous? A short while later, Sue arrived at the staging area. So, you're calling me in for overtime? She asked, raising an eyebrow. This isn't about overtime, one of the team members replied. It's about a monster who takes down people. Sue's irritation flared. Is this how you ask for help? From what I've seen, your destroyer squad looks more than capable. Seems like the Ying squad isn't needed here. One of her teammates muttered, You're being hard on them. The destroyer squad leader stepped forward, bowing his head slightly. I apologize for the way this was presented, but we could use your help. Your tracking skills are unmatched, and Candle Knight is a serious threat. If we fall to it, so be it. But we cannot allow innocent civilians to get caught in its path. Sue studied his expression, then gave a short nod. Fine, let's finish this. The Destroyer Squad and the Ying Squad were now working together to track down Candle Knight. Sue positioned herself on top of a nearby building, scanning the streets with her tracking skills. Within minutes, she locked onto her target. File number 7. Candle Knight, a beast that thrived in darkness, preferred damp environments. Once the location was confirmed, the Destroyer Squad began their operation to neutralize the threat. But before they could fully move into position, the monster sensed them and made the first move. The squads quickly surrounded it, blocking all escape routes. From above, a strike landed on the monster, yet it wasn't enough to kill it. Candle Knight became enraged and released a powerful sound wave. Dodge! Sue shouted, warning her teammates. The attack shattered their formation and left several members scratched, even through reinforced defenses. The display of power confirmed what everyone already suspected. This was a threat that had to be eliminated at all costs. If Candle Knight was left alone, it could devastate the city, leaving no survivors. The monster prepared another attack, but suddenly released a corrosive smoke screen. Sue tried to rush after it, but her teammates stopped her. Without the proper counter-element to neutralize the corrosion, chasing would be pointless. The squads reset their perimeter, working to track the beast's movements. Candle Knight, unable to dig a quick escape tunnel, abruptly charged at the weakest-looking member, breaking through their defenses. The Destroyer Squad gave chase while Sue noticed a sudden spike in the area's spiritual energy. Stay alert, she ordered. I'm going in. Following the trail, the squads arrived at an abandoned factory. The target had taken shelter inside. Sue scanned the area and quickly realized something was off. The most a squad can handle is an anomaly level of 50. she explained to the Destroyer Squad leader. Candle Knight alone is at 48. But right now, her device's reading climbed rapidly, 60, 70, 80. There's more than one anomaly in here, she warned. Before they could react, the factory doors slammed shut. In an instant, the squads tried to break down the doors, but before they could escape, a strange gas began to fill the air. Sue felt her senses dull, her vision blur. She called out, but there was no response. It was as if everyone had vanished. She forced herself to stay calm. She knew they were still there, but all of them were affected by the mist. Then she realized the truth. They had been lured here by Candle Knight, but the moment they entered, another anomaly had struck, a creature with a mist far deadlier than Candle Knight's abilities. Through the haze, she caught a brief glimpse of it, a serpent-like beast. This mist didn't just impair the senses, it drained spiritual energy. Even if they tried to attack, they would eventually exhaust themselves. Sue collapsed to the floor, horrified at the intelligence these anomalies displayed, and how they were working together. She felt her strength fading. So this is the end. Just as her consciousness slipped, the roof above burst open. A shadow dropped down into the factory. It was Fong Yi. He assessed the scene instantly. The thick spiritual energy, the serpent struck first. Fong dodged effortlessly, only for Candle Knight to leap in right after, aiming for his arm. He blocked it, unshaken. Now he understood everything. Two anomalies, working as a team. The serpent lured victims inside. Candle Knight finished them off. This explained why the energy here was so dense. Candle Knight bit down on Fong's arm, but he smirked. Go ahead. Try. A burst of thunder exploded from his body, surging into the creature. The strike took down Candle Knight. Fong turned toward the serpent, his eyes narrowing. Now your turn. His body ignited with fiery energy. It was time to see how the serpent would fare against the combined force of his flame and thunder. The battle between the serpent and Fong Yi began in an instant. The serpent lunged forward with incredible speed, but Fong met the attack head-on. Take down the monster with a single strike. Normally, that would have been the end, but this creature was different. Drawing in the surrounding mist, the serpent regenerated almost instantly. Fong had anticipated this move. The moment its body began to reform, he channeled his lightning attribute through his sword and struck again. The blade flashed with electric power, which lands directly on the serpent and destroying it completely. He had already sensed that the serpent was more dangerous than Candle Knight. While Candle Knight had an eerie, unsettling presence, it was relatively weaker or evolved quickly. The serpent, however, was another story. It was more cunning, more lethal, and capable of hunting with precision. Then suddenly serpent body. It released a shower of scales. One struck Fong, and the sensation confirmed his suspicion. This creature was a bigger threat. Its poison was designed to neutralize a target before striking, leaving no trace. It also displayed an unusual level of intelligence for a monster in its early phase. Fortunately, Fong's Golden Sun technique purified the toxin before it could spread. Between the healing properties of the Golden Sun technique and the resilience granted by his lightning attribute, Fong possessed one of the best combinations for survival. Others, however, were not so fortunate. Together, Candle Knight and the serpent had silently eliminated many strong pioneers over time, allowing the serpent to grow massive without drawing attention. But now, both creatures were defeated by Fong. Fong inspected the aftermath. As he moved to collect and extract the serpent's attribute, he sensed another presence. It was Sue, still conscious despite the mist's effects. He approached her. No need to pretend you're asleep, he said. And your playing dead act needs some work. Sue flushed with embarrassment and covered her face. I just woke up, she muttered. You're better than I thought, Fong said, standing when everyone else is unconscious. She wondered silently how he had managed to kill both the serpent and Candle Knight. Before she could ask, Fong continued, Don't cover your face. But remember, don't reveal my identity. Before Sue could respond, Fong turned to leave. The situation's handled. I'm going back. The monster remains are yours. She watched him go, wishing she had seen his face more clearly. His behavior confirmed what she already suspected. He had not lowered his guard toward the association. Fong, walking away, felt relief that she hadn't seen him absorb the dark attribute. He disliked the sensation it gave him. Why didn't the system show anything this time? He wondered. He decided to investigate later, once home. Back inside the factory, Sue began waking her unconscious teammates. When they stirred, confusion set in. "The beasts are all dead," one asked. "Another pioneer came and helped us," Sue replied. "It might have been the one I've been tracking. This time, he tracked us and outmaneuvered us." Her team was impressed. To take down those monsters in a single strike, incredible. They began cleanup operations, but during the process, they detected lingering traces of lightning energy. "Sue," one of them asked, "are you sure about the target's element? This is definitely lightning. Could there have been two people here? There are two high-tier elemental residues." Sue hesitated. She couldn't tell them that the same person wielded both yang and lightning attributes. No one would believe her. She thought to herself, what kind of person can possess both the yang element and the lightning element, and with such purity? Sue is very lucky because she had her team members waiting outside the factory. If she had stayed too long inside, they would have reported to the association, which would have sent investigative agents. And based on the situation, that might have been to collect their remains. Inside the factory, Sue's teammates cling to her and cry after finding out that she's alive. They were terrified that they might have lost their captain forever. Now the main tasks are scanning the remaining spirit energy, analyzing the traces, and reconstructing the battle. The association investigators are examining the monster remains and reporting the incident back to headquarters. One of the investigators reports to Sue about his findings. Based on trace analysis, residual energy, and attack patterns, he concludes there's a 99% chance that both anomalies were killed by the same person. Hearing that report, the golden-haired man becomes terrified, realizing his fear was true. There really was a dual high-level attribute vanguard. He thought their team had made a huge mistake because either of those anomalies alone could have easily wiped them out. The black-haired man agrees, adding that the big shot took both enemies down instantly. Even though their team members are all in the same Ghost Axe level, the difference in power is massive. Captain Sue decides to report to headquarters because her target has reappeared and the data has been updated. She reports that both the Tyrant and the North Gate of Qingqing University are under her control. Hearing this, the old man in the black suit orders Sue to suspend her mission. He explains that Fong Yi not only saved Sue and her team's lives, but also secured the area and has shown no hostility toward the association. Therefore, Fong Yi should not be considered an enemy. Captain Sue listens carefully as the old man continues. He says he's different from old Han, and for Sue's safety, and to leave a good impression on the Tyrant, the association should avoid any conflict with Fong Yi for now. Sue accepts the orders, but shares her theory about the Back Mountain incident that occurred before the Tyrant leveled up. The old man asks about her theory. Sue reveals that back then, she felt an incredibly powerful aura in that area, and suspected Fong Yi possessed a spirit weapon, though it seemed unlikely at the time. But now that they know Fong Yi is a dual high-attribute vanguard, her suspicions grow stronger. The old man interrupts, asking if Sue means to suggest Fong Yi has a spirit weapon. He finds it impossible. No matter how talented Fong Yi is, having a spirit weapon without external help or resources is nearly impossible. Besides, investigators didn't detect a third type of spirit energy at the scene, so there was no indication of a spirit weapon. Sue insists that when she encountered Fong Yi, she sensed yang-attributed energy similar to that of a spirit weapon. Hearing this, the old man suggests that the energy might have come from Fong Yi's own yang attribute. If Fong Yi is a spirit creator realm expert, then theoretically, he could produce such energy himself. Sue is stunned. There are fewer than 5 spirit creators in the entire world. If Fong Yi truly possesses 3 attributes, it could completely reshape the vanguard hierarchy. The old man explains that research shows different attributes repel each other within the body, making it nearly impossible to host more than one. There has never been a vanguard known to hold 3 attributes simultaneously. He concludes that if Fong Yi does have a spirit weapon, the fact that they couldn't detect a third attribute might actually be a blessing. It means less chance of instability. Still, the old man admits that he only hopes a powerful vanguard like Fong Yi never turns against humanity. Meanwhile, Fong Yi finishes his bath and steps out, reflecting that there's less than a year before the official spirit energy revival. Yet anomalies and natural disasters are increasing at an alarming rate, and even the anomalies are becoming more violent. He uses his magic to dry his hair, thinking about other vanguards like him who are training independently. Like the group in the underground river, Fong Yi can sense the changes in the world more clearly after establishing the connection between body and spirit. Even without national recognition, independent vanguards are now generally reaching at least Ghost Act Stage 1. Fong Yi puts on his shirt, realizing that both official and wild vanguards are currently in a relatively calm observation stage, mostly because the state remains friendly toward independent vanguards like him. Anomalies are still under the government's control, and there haven't been any major conflicts between vanguards. Despite that, the government still hasn't publicly announced the existence of the Spirit Energy Cultivation Association. Meanwhile, people continue to discuss the growing instability and dangers around them, making it clear that the government is trying to both protect the public and quietly sound the alarm. But that's exactly the problem. Fong Yi can tell that the government isn't confident about opening the cultivation era to everyone because once the information becomes public, chaos is inevitable. With such a large population, riots and mass casualties would follow. Based on current conditions, recognized vanguards are not yet capable of managing that level of unrest. Internal and external threats would only accelerate societal collapse. So Fong Yi believes the government's cautious approach is probably the best option for now. After all, human fear is far scarier than monsters. Yet, one question still lingers in Fong Yi's mind. Was the recent riot premeditated? What troubles him most is that the anomalies are evolving faster than he anticipated. After examining the black mist, Fong Yi realizes it belongs to a sub-branch of the dark attribute known as the shadow attribute, which is the natural enemy of vanguards. These anomalies possess intelligence far beyond ordinary beasts. Some even cooperate to set traps and ambush vanguards. While they aren't as terrifying as the true dark attribute anomalies Fong Yi has encountered, those capable of destroying entire nations or continents, they are still extremely dangerous. If Fong Yi hadn't followed the anomalies today, that vanguard team and the person trying to recruit him would not have survived. Just the shadow sub-attribute alone is so sinister and disgusting that the full dark attribute must be unimaginably dangerous. However, Fong Yi notices from his system menu that it currently cannot be absorbed. This might mean that once he meets the system's conditions, he will be able to absorb it in the future. If Fong Yi can master the dark attribute, something deadly even to humans, it would be his greatest advantage and could potentially become the key to changing the tide of battle. At present, Fong Yi possesses the Yang attribute's Golden Sun breathing technique, the Thunder attribute's hundredfold refined Divine Thunder, and the Yang sub-attribute's Inner Flame, which powers his Red Flame Blade technique. Not only are these high-level attributes, but the techniques also perfectly complement them. Combined with Fong Yi's Ghost Act's 3-star power, there are very few vanguards who could rival him. But even then, Fong Yi feels it's still not enough. While deep in thought, Fong Yi suddenly receives a call from his aunt. He picks up, wondering why she's calling so suddenly. After greeting him and asking about his health, she quickly gets to the point. His cousin will be coming to study nearby. Since she doesn't feel comfortable letting her daughter stay in a hotel alone, she asks Fong Yi if his cousin can stay with him for a few days. Hearing this, Fong Yi tries to recall his cousin. He only remembers that she was a top student who loved studying, but can't clearly recall her face anymore. Despite that, he agrees to let her stay and asks about her time of arrival. His aunt tells him not to worry about it, saying she'll just send the address to her so she can come on her own. She also mentions that her daughter will bring some snacks for him, which Fong Yi happily agrees to. His aunt confirms that the girl will arrive tomorrow afternoon. Fong Yi finds the arrangement sudden, but before he can say much, his aunt ends the call, reminding him to visit her soon. Meanwhile, Fong Yi's cousin is at her desk, working on her computer while chatting with the Spirit Energy Revival Martial Vanguard team. Afterward, she reads an article about recent rumors. Several people have been killed, and the once popular influencer town has now been nicknamed Death Town. Just then, her mother, Fong Yi's aunt, opens the door and asks if she has packed her things, startling her. She turns and replies that she has packed, but still doesn't want to trouble her cousin, insisting she'll stay at a hotel instead. Her mother immediately refuses, saying hotels aren't safe and that she trusts Fong Yi far more than any hotel. She reminds her daughter not to cause trouble at Fong Yi's place and to help him whenever she can. The girl sighs, gently pushes her mother out of the room, and tells her not to worry so much. After closing the door, she takes a deep breath, deciding to take things one step at a time. After all, no matter what, her cousin will be easier to handle than dealing with anomalies. The next day, she finally leaves her house, following the map to Fong Yi's residence. After some time, she arrives at his home. Fong Yi steps outside and notices a girl standing in front of him. The girl asks if he's her cousin, and Fong Yi, unable to recognize her, asks if she's Lin Yi. Yi stays silent for a moment before they both head to Fong Yi's apartment. There, they sit together on the sofa, drinking juice in awkward silence. Fong Yi tells Yi to call him if she needs anything. Yi politely thanks him, and the silence returns. Fong Yi then hands her a spare house key, telling her that her room is just across the hall and that he'll be heading back to his own room. Yi accepts the key and apologizes for troubling him. Fong Yi doesn't respond and quietly walks away, which makes Yi think that he's easy to get along with and not the type to pry into other people's affairs. Meanwhile, Fong Yi studies Yi carefully, wondering if it's just his imagination or if she's truly giving off a faint trace of spiritual energy. When she was sitting on the couch earlier, he had sensed something unfamiliar, an aura that didn't belong to an ordinary person. That realization makes Fong Yi suspect that Yi might already be a pioneer too, which makes her excuse about coming for summer camp seem even more suspicious. At the same time, Yi is on her phone, messaging someone. She writes that her cousin Fong Yi doesn't seem like the type who will interfere with her activities, then asks when they should move. The person on the other end advises her not to rush and to keep a low profile, explaining that the current situation is chaotic and many zones have already been claimed by other pioneers. They begin talking about the recent rumors, how a single strike was said to have break through the sun, an attack filled with extreme yang attribute energy. They conclude that such a feat could only be accomplished by a high-tier pioneer. Yi agrees and warns the group to stay cautious since the official spiritual energy revival hasn't started yet. Because everything remains secret, no one really knows how many monster-level pioneers the Xia country might be hiding. After chatting for a while, Yi ends the conversation by saying she'll wait for their signal. Still, she feels uneasy. If her cousin Fong Yi were to find out about her activities, it would be impossible to explain. 3 days later, everything seems normal on the surface. Yi comes out of the shower and sees Fong Yi busy with his usual routine. However, living with her has been unexpectedly troublesome for Fong Yi's cultivation. His meditation and breathing exercises keep getting interrupted, and even practicing the golden sun breathing technique feels risky now. With someone else in the house, he realizes how flashy that technique looks from the outside. To make matters more complicated, Yi turns out to be an excellent cook. One evening, she calls out that dinner is ready. Today's menu includes tomato beef stew, cold cucumber salad, and corn rib soup. Fong Yi, impressed, praises her thoughtful effort and offers to do the dishes. But she politely refuses, saying that since she's staying in his home, it's the least she can do in return. Yi's behavior is flawless, polite, disciplined, and neat, almost to the point of perfection. Fong Yi notices that her manners and household habits are almost obsessive, yet he decides not to stop her. Letting her act naturally might be the best way to lower her guard and help him uncover her true identity. They eat quietly together until Yi suddenly gets a call that startles her. Fong Yi immediately notices the change in her expression and casually asks if it's her friend calling. Without pressing further, he stands up, telling her he'll return to his room to give her privacy. Yi silently excuses herself and goes to her room to take the call. Once inside, she's shocked to hear news of another major world shift that's expected to happen the next day. She asks for the exact time. It's set for 3 p.m. and agrees to join the operation. While she's talking, Fong Yi discreetly uses his spiritual powers to listen in, catching every word. Yi confirms that she'll meet the others at the entrance of Yangho Town. Hearing this, Fong Yi recalls that Yangho is a trendy town in the suburbs, just about an hour's drive away. While spying on her, Fong Yi once again senses Yi's aura, which fully convinces him that his cousin is also a pioneer she's cultivating inside her room. Yi cannot detect Fong Yi's presence because of her current strength, but even so, She's already reached the 2-star Ghost Axe realm while still in high school, and she might soon advance even further. Fong Yi finds her talent so extraordinary that it even explains why her personality seems a little odd. Now he's certain the summer camp was just a cover. The world shift is Yi's real reason for coming to the city. She must have learned about it beforehand and used the camp as an excuse. Every world shift is both a threat and an opportunity, a chance for pioneers like Fong Yi to obtain new techniques and enhance their power. Fong Yi leaves his apartment with a faint smile, wondering what kind of attribute will appear in Yongho Town this time. But whatever it is, he's determined that it will be his. Meanwhile, back in her room, Yi suddenly opens her eyes, sensing that someone had been watching her. The next day, at Yongho Town, Yi meets up with a group of other pioneers and starts walking with them. Among them, a green-haired woman, with a confident, mature aura, playfully asks Yi about the cousin she's been living with. She wants to know whether he's attractive or not. Yi calmly replies that Fong Yi is a nice person and describes his looks as average, plain, definitely not the influencer pretty boy type that the green-haired woman usually likes. Hearing that, the green-haired woman sighs dramatically, looking disappointed, while the red-haired woman beside her laughs and teases her, reminding her that Yi once described herself as just one of the ordinary masses, too. The light teasing eases the tension as the three women continue walking toward the meeting point. When they arrive, a black-haired man steps forward and announces that they'll get straight to the main point since everyone is here. Yi asks if another person from their team isn't coming again. The man confirms she won't be joining this time, so there are only 6 of them. The red-haired woman comments that the missing member has always been mysterious, so they've all gotten used to her absence. As the team proceeds, Fong Yi spies on them from an upper floor nearby. He analyzes Yi's group carefully and realizes that all of them are extremely low-key but still powerful. Even the weakest among them has reached the 2-star Ghost Axe realm, while the black-haired man, their apparent leader, has already achieved 3 stars. From their conversation, Fong Yi also deduces that they have another member who rarely shows up, likely an elite. Then, Fong Yi's attention shifts to the strange phenomenon nearby, a massive vine descending from the sky above the mountain near Influencer Town. It looks exactly like the beanstalk from the fairy tale Jack and the Beanstalk. The vine manifests randomly in the area surrounding Yongho Town, appearing and disappearing without warning. This completely contradicts all previous records of world shifts. It's beyond anyone's understanding, an anomaly that doesn't fit known patterns. Unlike typical world shifts, this one doesn't alter weather, terrain, or cause destruction. It simply floats in the air, silent and eerie, phasing in and out of existence without emitting thunder, heat, or light. When Yi and her teammates finally reach the world shift site, the red-haired woman freezes in terror at the sight before her. Her voice trembles as she admits that if she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, she would never have believed such a thing existed. The green-haired girl, visibly shaken, pleads with the group not to go any further. Yi frowns and asks why, prompting the green-haired girl to explain her fear. She says that after seeing the world shift up close, her entire body went cold, as if something was deeply wrong with that place. Trembling, she mentions the rumors circulating in the internal pioneer forums. She personally knows someone from a team that encountered the vine during a previous appearance. That team had been far stronger than hers. They weren't rookies by any means, but after they made contact with the vine, they all vanished without a trace. Her words send chills through everyone. The entire team grows silent, their earlier confidence fading into unease. The green-haired girl's face pales as she whispers that she feels they'll end up just like that other team. The green-haired woman had originally thought she could handle the pioneers' gamble, return with fortune or die trying. But the moment she saw that enormous vine, an instinctive fear took hold of her. Her intuition screamed that this was a very high-level world anomaly, something new, unknown, and terrifyingly powerful. Tears began to fall as she admitted that she wasn't ready to throw her life away there and wanted to withdraw. The red-haired woman stood silently, watching her, while Yi also admitted that she felt the same uneasiness. Everything in the area seemed to share that feeling too. There was a deep sense of desolation emanating from the wooden vine, an aura that Yi couldn't quite describe. It was as if the vine had been submerged in the river of time, where all life had perished and every trace of vitality had vanished. That was why they all felt so uneasy and unwell. It was as if the vine itself was trying to devour their life force. Still, E took the green-haired woman's trembling hand and said softly that despite the danger, this was the path of martial pioneers. The scene then shifts to Fong Yi, who is watching everything from afar. As he observes the massive wooden vines, he feels an overwhelming wave of death energy pressing down on him, so heavy and suffocating that it chills him to the bone. Out of all the world anomalies Fong Yi has encountered, aside from the dark attribute anomaly, this one feels the most unsettling. He can't believe E and her team actually chose to cultivate near it. It takes serious courage to do that. Though the vine is clearly a plant, a symbol of life and growth, it radiates only death. It doesn't feel alive at all, instead, devoid of spiritual energy and vitality. Meanwhile, E stands on a cliff, leading her team and giving them instructions. She tells them that time is short, and the longer they hesitate, the more dangerous it becomes. They need to sense the surrounding energy and find the safest area to cultivate. She climbs up the vine while the others spread out, taking their positions as instructed. E reminds everyone to stay within visual range and not wander too far, and they all agree. She feels that this approach is the safest possible strategy. Once settled, E sits on a sturdy branch and begins cultivating. Fong Yi, watching her from a distance, nods in approval. He notes that her cautious yet efficient approach is impressive. It's exactly what he'd expect from a top student like E. She had calculated the perfect range for cultivation, neither too reckless nor too timid. After only a short time, Fong Yi is surprised to sense her energy rapidly rising. She's already breaking through, advancing toward the 3-star Ghost Axe realm. He smiles, thinking to himself that his cousin E truly is exceptionally talented. The green-haired and red-haired women are equally astonished, watching in awe as E advances before their eyes. But their amazement quickly turns to horror. The vine suddenly begins to move. The black-haired man notices first and shouts a warning to the others. The red-haired woman's eyes widen in shock as she realizes the vines sense them from that far away. Before they can react, the massive tendrils lash out, striking 2 of their teammates. The black-haired girl screams for help, but the green-haired woman, panicking, shouts back that they need to keep running. If they stop, they'll all die. She's convinced that E's sudden breakthrough disturbed the vine, triggering its deadly reaction. They need to avoid getting entangled by the vines, because once the vines wrap around them, the desolate aura will take them instantly. The vines also begin attacking E, who is still in the middle of cultivation. Her protective aura is holding for now, but it's about to shatter. The red-haired woman stops her teammates, shouting that they can't leave yet. If they run now, E will be in grave danger. The green-haired woman completely loses her composure and snaps back, asking the red-haired woman what she expects them to do then. She refuses to use her own spiritual energy to protect E and die while E gets to level up. The red-haired woman tries to calm her down, but before she can say more, the black-haired man interrupts, saying that life and death are both determined by fate. If they don't leave now, they'll all just die along with E. He then tells the red-haired woman that she's still too young and shouldn't act purely on emotion. Before he can finish, the red-haired woman slaps him across the face, furious at their cowardice and unwillingness to save their teammate. She yells that she won't abandon E and rushes toward her, while the others, overcome by fear, turn and run for their lives. Watching from above, Fong Yi realizes that his cousin E probably doesn't even understand the danger she's in right now. She's still just a student, and the vine's power is overwhelming. Even Fong Yi himself isn't sure if he can save her with his current strength, but there's no time left to hesitate. Remembering the promise he made to his aunt to protect E, Fong Yi releases his golden aura and charges toward the vines. A promise, after all, must never be broken. Meanwhile, the red-haired woman is desperately fighting the vines to save her comrades, but one vine suddenly lashes out from the ground, wrapping tightly around her. She struggles to break free, but the vines overpower her. At the same time, the monstrous vines strike at E, breaking through her protective aura circle. Just then, Fong Yi appears, his blade blazing with flames, and strikes the vines in one clean motion, shocking the red-haired woman and the rest of the fleeing teammates. With a single fiery strike, he completely takes down the vines and stands atop. The ground trembles as the vines begin to retreat, withdrawing in fear. Everyone, including the green-haired woman and the black-haired man, stares in disbelief. The vines, creatures that were moments ago unstoppable, seem instinctively terrified of Feng Yi's golden aura. The black-haired man watches closely, realizing that the one who saved them must be another pioneer. Feng Yi's energy radiates with the purest yang attribute, and suddenly everything makes sense. Only such a high-tier attribute could repel a desolate wood-type anomaly like this. The black-haired man clenches his fists, thinking about his own progress. He considers himself one of the most talented pioneers in the country, having reached the 3-star Ghost Axe realm in record time. There are only a handful of people across the entire nation who could match his speed. He always believed that Yi's talent was comparable to his, maybe even slightly higher, but still within reach. Yet now, standing before Feng Yi's overwhelming presence, he feels utterly insignificant. He starts to question everything: his talent, his worth, his very existence. Compared to Feng Yi, he and the others are nothing but dim stars beneath a radiant moon. Feng Yi didn't just surpass him. He crushed the pride of every pioneer who stood below him. The black-haired man can't help but wonder, what kind of existence is Feng Yi? At that moment, Feng Yi's system activates, detecting an extreme concentration of wood attributes. It begins automatically recording and deciphering the phenomenon. A new entry appears: endless vitality. The system explains that this technique allows the user to absorb all nearby life force instantly and rapidly restore injuries. As Feng Yi integrates the technique, he's astonished by its power. The endless vitality wood attribute is truly remarkable. So long as there's life nearby, it functions as an endless energy engine, constantly replenishing and sustaining him. After completely extracting the new wood attribute, Feng Yi opens his eyes, which now glow green. He realizes there's no wonder those vines can only grow in such a treacherous place. If they appeared anywhere else, the life force within dozens of miles would have been completely drained. The attribute is both depriving and lethal, making Feng Yi conclude that the desolation attribute is truly overbearing because it forcibly plunders the life force of everything around it. While he's deep in thought, the red-haired woman approaches him to express her gratitude. She sincerely thanks him for saving their lives, saying that if he hadn't stepped in, they would all be dead by now. She asks how they can repay him, but Feng Yi modestly replies that there's no need for that. He simply says, "Until we meet again," before leaving. He says that because, in truth, he was the one who benefited most from this encounter. He had used their information to obtain both the life force and desolation attributes. As for the earlier conflict between the black-haired man and the green-haired woman, Feng Yi decides that from now on, he will continue to keep an eye on Yi's movements. After all, it's only during moments of crisis that people's true nature is revealed, and a scattered team like theirs wouldn't be reliable when greater upheavals arise. Feng Yi leaves, still lost in thought, while the green-haired woman watches him go and asks what they should do next since he left so abruptly. The black-haired man smirks and taunts her, asking if she now regrets not helping Yi earlier. Soon after, the group gathers around Yi, now that the threat has passed. She has successfully advanced to Tier 3, and the black-haired man suggests that it would be best for them to stay together as a team for now. Yi finally opens her glowing blue eyes, ending her cultivation. The red-haired woman greets her warmly, but both the black-haired man and the green-haired woman look uneasy, afraid of how Yi will react once she finds out they tried to abandon her during the battle. Yi asks the red-haired woman what happened while she was cultivating, noticing that 2 of her teammates are dead. She also senses a faint trace of a powerful yang attribute still lingering in the air, the searing heat pressing down on her even from afar. The black-haired man steps forward, deciding to explain everything. He tells Yi what happened after she lost consciousness, how someone had appeared and defeated the vines in a single strike. He shows her the spot where the vines once stood, but now they've completely retreated into the sky, not daring to come near the ground again. Even though that mysterious pioneer is long gone, The vine still behaves like a timid creature, nothing like the raging beast it was before. Later, E returns home, lost in thought about what the black-haired man said. Someone so powerful that they could destroy those vines with a single strike. Someone who now seemed almost inhuman. She can't shake the feeling that she might have already met that person before. As she opens the apartment door, Fong Yi greets her with a calm smile, noticing her pale face. Concerned, he asks what's wrong. Yi hesitates for a moment, then lies, saying she's just tired from studying too much. Fong Yi believes her and praises her for working so hard, telling her to get some rest. He decides to order takeout for dinner that night, so she doesn't have to cook. Back in her room, Yi sits down, still trying to calm her mind. Breaking through to a new realm had drained her mentally and physically. Every time she channels her spiritual power to wield the divine axe, it demands absolute focus. And the more she thinks about it, the more she realizes just how exhausting and dangerous her path as a pioneer has truly become. It is more exhausting for E than pulling all-nighters for an entire month. She lies down on her bed, scrolling through her phone, thinking to herself that thankfully she's no longer an ordinary human. Staying awake for days won't kill her anymore. Despite all the struggles, she accepts that cultivation is the destiny of pioneers. The world is already changing drastically, and there's no way she can live a normal, peaceful life like her cousin Fong Yi. Just then, E receives a message from Garan, instructing her to report immediately if she finds any further traces of the powerful individual who saved them. E agrees and replies, saying that the person who rescued them might actually be the same one who became famous for slaying the Dark River Molten Dragon. However, she also questions why someone of that level would bother saving them at all. Because of the Dark River incident, Fong Yi has become one of the most well-known pioneers, at the very top of the power hierarchy. The group often warns that if anyone ever encounters him again during an upheaval, the best choice is to retreat and stay out of his way. The scene then shifts to Fong Yi, who is calmly riding his bicycle through the city streets. He thinks to himself that it's fine to let Xiao Lu continue recovering in the hospital for now. And in the meantime, he should focus on how to evolve his own powers next. Fong Yi decides to head toward the mountains, knowing that the desolation attribute is closer to plants and nature. After all, it's an evil, corrosive attribute. Its very essence is decay and consumption. If he were to apply it directly to himself, it could cause serious side effects or even conflict with the thunder attribute he already possesses. So, the best way forward is to transfer or implant the desolation attribute into something similar to the strange ghost vine he encountered before. He recalls that the vine had descended from the sky because it sensed the rich spiritual energy of revival. It chose to evolve on its own, and that was how it developed the power of desolation. After piecing all of this together, Fong Yi knows exactly where he needs to go next. Upon reaching the city forest park, he stops his bicycle beside a tree and enters the dense greenery. He needs to find a plant that can resonate strongly with his spiritual energy, one capable of forming a deep connection with him, to serve as a suitable host. Fong Yi closes his eyes, focuses his mind, and releases a wave of green aura, letting it spread throughout the forest to test the plant's reactions. As the aura sweeps through the area, the plants begin to tremble and glow faintly in response. However, Fong Yi can tell that it still isn't enough. He needs something stronger, something more compatible. While scanning the area, he notices one particular plant glowing more brightly than the rest. Intrigued, he walks toward it and extends his hand. The small flower suddenly wraps around his finger and begins to absorb his spiritual energy. Fong Yi is surprised by how responsive it is. The plant feels alive, almost playful. Though it's clearly just a wildflower, it behaves like a curious little creature. As it absorbs more of his energy, it wiggles and even leans closer, as if nuzzling his fingers affectionately. Fong Yi chuckles softly and strokes the petals. Out of all the plants in the forest, this one's reaction to his energy is by far the strongest. That makes it the perfect candidate for his experiment, to serve as the vessel for the desolation attribute. After deciding, Fong Yi's body ignites with a brilliant green aura, and a glowing system pop-up appears before his eyes. Do you wish to implant the desolation attribute into the selected object by force? Without hesitation, Fong Yi answers, yes. Instantly, The flower plant begins to glow even brighter, its stem pulsing with power as the desolation attribute fuses into it. The air around them ripples with intense energy as the entire forest begins to tremble from the surge.